Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I am thrilled to be here. I am thrilled to be back at Content Strategy, sort of my home team. And I want to talk about content skills for business impact. The book actually is so you're going to give away a couple copies of Strategic Writing for UX, second edition. The new book is called UX Skills for Business Strategy because I actually pulled in two co-authors who are UX experts and research experts so that it would be a broader book with more impact in the field. I am going to, oh no, no worries, Paula. Um, I want to talk to this group about content skills specifically. Uh, but to do that, I want to talk about the whole book. We're going to talk about connecting skills to impact because that is the central conceit of the book. Like, this is the part that I think is super hard. What we've done here is make a wine pairing guide to match UX skills to the business impacts we need to make. Now, let me talk about that wine pairing analogy a little bit. Here's the deal. The In these guides, in wine pairing guides, usually made by winemakers or chefs, and sometimes it's like pairing wine and chocolate or wine and cheese or wine and dishes of a particular region. The idea is some wines go better with some foods than others. Okay. In these kinds of guides, you can start from the wine and find the food. And in our book, that would be starting from the desired business impact you want to make and say, what are the UX skills that would most effectively make this impact? And how can I make that argument? Or you can start from your UX skill that you've been using, going like, how am I going to measure this? I know it makes an effect, but where should I be looking and what should I be doing? So in our process for this, which has taken more than a year, um, we actually have uh, a spreadsheet labeled the matrix, and it has all of these skills and it has all of these impacts by our count, and it took a lot of figuring out. There's 41 different specific impacts that we can stand behind making with our UX skills, and we have about 100 different UX skills that we're working on. Together, there's over 930 ways that specific ways that these UX skills make or enable these business impacts. Also, I thought when I talked to Paula about coming and speaking to you, we thought that the book would be turned in literally a month ago. Nope, we got an extension. I'm turning it in this Monday, me and my co-authors. So things are still a little drafty, and I haven't talked much about the book yet. So if I'm unclear about anything in here, please ask about it. Okay, so it's all about connecting skills to impact. What are these skills? And what are these human skills that we should still be talking about doing in this AI age? Well, here is roughly the list of content focused skills that I have in there. This is a lot. This is the sneakiest of sneak peek. This is a lot to take in on any kind of slide, and you might have just leaned in really far. But what I want you to notice is like, are these just content skills? And don't we do more than this? Like, I know we edit for accuracy. I know we create information architectures. We establish processes for localization. Sometimes that's not even us, but in some cases it is. So that's in there. It's creating how-to content, preparing LLMs for integration. Turns out there's a lot of content design work in there. But we do more than that. And when we look at the design skills, like annotating design and preparing design handoffs and even creating user journeys. I mean, I've certainly done most of those things. Not all of them, and it hasn't been my central job. And we also have research skills. But are they really, and are they that limited? Because that leaves us this many general UX skills that none of the three of us authors could just say, this is just for us. This is just in our lane. For example, all of us have managed UX teams. All of us have worked in code to some level. All of us have been involved in personalization strategies. Certainly, all of us use storytelling because we need to. And we've all designed for emerging technology, whether that's uh, websites around the turn of the century, whether that's mobile 10 years later, or whether that's whatever it is we have now. So, even in these general UX skills, we have a huge number of things that content folk do. So, to organize all of these, um, let's talk about how hard organization is for just a minute. We had to, so anytime I talk about this book, it seems like I can present like, here are things and they make sense, right? And people are like, yeah, this makes sense. Oh, it's so obvious. And this must have been, nobody thinks it's easy to write, but right now, let me tell you folks, just even coming up with this list was its own journey and refinement. And we have it now organized in these essentially four diamonds. So we extended the double diamond metaphor and we said, here's what UX folks do. We solve the right problem. We try to then solve the problem right. And we use this divergent thinking, this exploration thinking, and then the convergent thinking to come to decisions. And then we need to realize the solution. We need to do development work and we need to figure out how to measure these things. The fourth diamond that sort of encompasses all of it is about continuous improvement. What are the things we do that just help us move this work along no matter what phase it's in? And then there's optimization pieces at the bottom here. There are things that you might only do once in a career, you might not ever do, like establishing or adopting a new content management system. You might have a job where your job is going to different companies and being like, let me set you up with that content management system. Cool. But for most of us working in companies, we do that maybe once in a career, or maybe somebody on our team does, and we're not even doing it. So that's stuff in the optimize section. And you might notice here in this sort of blue cycle, we've got that's the software development life cycle, right? As our product teams, as our experience teams, engineering and product are doing their planning and requirements analysis, they're doing their definition, they're doing their engineering design, and they're doing their development and testing, and then also they're doing their deployment and maintenance. Here's what we're doing at the same time. And all of our skills fit inside here pretty unevenly in some cases. Some of these phases have many more skills than others. But I haven't even talked yet about what a skill is. In our book, a skill is one approach to achieving particular outcomes. Now, it is, we're not talking about methods here. We're not talking about competencies. I'll get to that in a minute. But skills make up part of the value that you bring to your work, and they can become an integral part of your personal brand and your work brand. As long as a person can learn to do a thing and create impact with it, we're going to call them skills. Now, the outcomes we're looking for, using our skills for, usually in UX and content, is to make experiences for people to use or to make those experiences better. So when we were trying to figure out which skills to include, we discussed like listing specific methods. We also discussed attitudes and soft skills. We discussed competencies and like your level of talent with different things. We thought about categorizing things as, senior people do this and junior people do these other things. But it turns out a lot of that is super mushy and context dependent. So when we interviewed UX professionals and we dug deep into our own experiences to come up with this comprehensive list, we're sure to have left out some. Let's be clear. When we ask people about it, like, and when we've gone to people with these lists, we haven't had any new ones recommended to us recently. Um, but I mean, it could still happen this weekend. It could happen in this chat. If you think of something and you're like, "Do you have this?" Please put it in there. So, one of the core tenets here is that all skills can be learned and practiced over time to improve your results. Now, there are things that I am not intending to practice enough to get particularly talented at this point in my life, but skills are learnable. Usually, there's multiple ways of doing the skill. There's many methods, there's many tools. There are ways to do things with AI that weren't even possible 6 months ago, much less a year ago or 3 years ago. We're not talking about, hey, use AI to do a thing, or make sure you use nothing but OOUX all the time. We do mention examples of different methods and different tools, but we're trying to get at the core of what is the thing you're trying to do and the impact it makes. So, to use some skills, you might leverage AI-based tools, and whether you use AI or not, these UX skills will create value. So, we don't tell you how to do the skills in this book. This is not a how-to book. We don't tell you which tools and methods to use, but we do try to point you in the right direction. So we give you, well, here's what we do give you: a description, an example of a description of the skill, an example of it that can be also a hypothetical. And one of the most important things we do is tell you about conditions for success. I'm going to tell you more about that in a little bit. We also tell you about additional resources. So every skill gets 1 to 3 um, books or videos or good articles that will help you learn how to do the skill and help you dig deeper. We also tell you about attitudes to practice. Now, this is how we are dealing with soft skills. Soft skills are, oh, let me tell you about this. When we interviewed UX pros at the very beginning of this, and we said, let's talk to some of the best UX pros we know, both ICs and leaders, researchers, designers, content folk, and we said, what makes somebody great at this? And what are their skills? What are the skills that make people stand out in this? We said, to these people who are great at it, we ask them, think of somebody else who's great and try to describe them. Every single one of them, every single time, described their skills as soft skills, right? These quote unquote soft skills. They talked about them being great listeners, about being fast workers, about being dependable and communicative. And we were like, oh, well, this is going in a direction where we thought we'd get like, they're good at wireframes. Nope. Nope, they're good at soft skills. So when we were researching different frameworks and taxonomies of skills, the World Economic Forum has this global skills taxonomy list, and they talked about attitudes. We said, that's it. What are the attitudes you need to practice to be good at this particular skill? So we call them out here. We also call out the pitfalls of not using this skill and the risks of using it wrong or badly. And then we have the list of impact statements. So let's get into what kind of impact are we talking about here? 41 different kinds of business impact in 6 categories: financial impacts, product impacts, operations impacts. Um, User impacts are all about the success for those users. The product impacts are about success for the product. Risk impacts are all about reducing and mitigating danger that people can experience, that organizations experience, like brand danger, damage to the brand, regulatory risk, that kind of thing. And management, just quality of what it's like to work there. So we have financial, these get pretty specific, like reducing the cost of support, also increasing sales volume, reducing the cost of sales. These are all things we found skills that made a difference about. We also, so our user skills, improving user outcomes, user confidence, user understanding, because those are different, right? Like we can make people really confident and they still have no idea what they're doing, but they're really sure they get it. Cool. We can also just save their time. And separately, we can increase their satisfaction. They may be related to each other, and frequently you make more than one of these at a time. Not always. Product impacts. How do we increase quality? Oh, there's a lot of skills for that. In achieving product market fit is a really critical one to a lot of product owners. Also, increasing adoption and usage, and even just increasing brand recognition, right? Or expanding that potential audience. There are skills that we do, content skills, UX skills, research skills, all of them that have these effects. And there's different risks, right? Brand perception, regulatory and legal risk. The risk in development is frequently about building the wrong thing or making it surprisingly impossible to build because you've designed it wrong, or you just you can't get there from here. Operations risks, like, and our top one here is about increasing sustainability. The one of the, sorry, not operations risks, operations impacts. We can do so much to increase sustainability, environmental sustainability, governance, and social sustainability. And we spell that out in each one. Also, just some basics like reducing redundancies, enabling transformations. These are so much fun. Also, just managing, just a huge number of UX skills enable organizational clarity and alignment because we are making artifacts that make more clear what it is we're trying to do and why we're trying to do it. So, in those impacts, we have a description of the impact. So this is in a separate chapter. So the skills are all in one chapter and the impacts are all in another chapter. This is the wine pairing guide part where you could go to all of the different impacts and then find the skills to go to. So they have descriptions, they have notes about gathering evidence that you've made that impact, and a list of UX skills that can make that impact. Now, we also have skills that we're calling universal. These are UX skills that can make or enable almost any business impact when used for that purpose under the right conditions. So that's critical, the under the right conditions part. Actually, I was going to do this a little later, but I'm going to do it right now. I have for you a really ugly link. Wait, I have a better link to it later. I'm going to give you a link to this PDF. This PDF that is only for you, Content Strategy Seattle folks. And yes, if you are here from Australia or New York City, you are here at Content Strategy Seattle, so it is for you. Here's a PDF that is a 20-page excerpt of, yeah, there's a 20-page excerpt that is probably not terribly accessible. So if that's a thing that you need, please let me know and I will make a different version for you. That is a snippet. So in this, I'm not giving you much of it, but because and this is still raw and unedited, and we're turning it in Monday. And so have you heard all of those caveats? I hope you've heard all those caveats. I hope you're also going to this and opening it up. It has part of the preface in it to sort of give an orientation. Yeah, Monday deadline. I'm dying here. It has a list of terminology. This actually is not up to date. There's a few more entries as of today. And has part of chapter 1 in here about how to use this book with the main metaphor and definition of skills and impact. But it also, what I've tried to do here is give you, I think I'm giving you two or three different impacts. So I've given you F3, increased sales volume, and the skills that roll up to it. Also, U4, save user time. Okay, so a couple of those. And then in UX skills, giving you part of that, audit content is one of the first content focused skills in the book. Um, and I'm actually giving resources for a couple of Seattleites right here, Erica and Paula, uh, and the attitudes to practice. So I'm hoping that this helps you see how it works. So while you're looking at that, let me go back here to conditions for success. So when we are looking at conditions for success, conditions for success is a section in every skill. And this is critical. And this is actually one of my favorite things that we did in the book. As we said, okay, here's the skill, here's the impacts it makes. But we can't always, like, I have not always been in the position in a particular team at a particular time to be able to say, you know what your problem is? It's that information architecture. It's crap. Nobody can use it. If I'm deep in an organization and that's not within my scope or not within my authority, I'm not going to make any headway there. Maybe even the business conditions don't exist for it. Like that is not what they're focused on. They don't want to make things easier or more usable or more findable because they've got a higher business priority. But if it's not within my personal scope in my role, if it's not within my authority or even my influence, or if I just don't have the resources for it, right? If it can't be funded work right now, then I'm not going to be able to use that skill to make those impacts. I'll need to look for a different skill. And then part of this is those attitudes to practice. Like maybe I have all the right conditions, it's within my scope, it's within my authority, I have the resources, and I have a crappy attitude. My manager certainly isn't going to send me out to do that without having a careful conversation about, like, hey, Tori, maybe you could do that without burning people down because that won't make it work. So that's what the conditions for success section is all about. So you have the pre-release section in there, and these I just want to share with you. These are our 4 ideas of how most people will find the most use from this book. The first one is to start from an impact to find skills to use. Like maybe you hear at an all hands meeting at your startup or in your organization at an enterprise that your new business priority is achieving product market fit. And I'll get to that, Bridget. I'll let you know. Um, maybe that's the goal. And you go, gosh, I don't know much about product market fit. I'm going to go look it up. I'm going to go read about it. And then I'm going to look at the list of skills in there to say, how can I best attack that and use my skills to further that? And how will I measure my progress towards making an impact toward that goal? The other way is to start from the UX skill and say, you know what, I've been doing this. I've been hired to do this. They say it's super important. I don't know why. And I'm going to say, what can I do with this skill? What are the impacts it's likely to make? And what we're hoping is that will help give people using those UX skills the language to talk to their PMs, the language to talk to their other business partners about here's what we think it can do and why that's important to us. And then advocate for being able to measure that or gather evidence and claim those results as our own. Now, another thing we can do is to start from a personal inventory of like, wait, which of these skills do I actually use? Like, here's literally 100 different skills. Do I use all of them? And Folks, the goal is not to use all of these skills. This is not Pokemon. Do not catch them all. That is a that is not the point. But if you want to start your inventory of here are the skills I do and the impact those make. Are there any impacts that I'm kind of weak at making so far? Are there any places that if my business really needed this, I wouldn't know how to do those things? And that's a way to find not only the gaps in tool sets or skills or experiences, but how to find what are the gaps in my usefulness to my to the people who pay my bills by giving me money. Now, there's also just, hey, I need to learn more about doing this kind of skill and what it can do. You'll be able to start from an index to find more on specific topics. So that uh, is this book that's going to be available in Q1 2026 with pre-ordering available in all the usual places. Also, I have a cat trying to climb up me right now. That talk went really fast. I hope you guys have questions or things that you want to say or contribute. Um, and I know that people need to keep putting their information into a form so that they can get a free book. Uh, so yeah, but it is not this book. It is the book that I was writing at the same time, which is a terrible idea. Don't do that, which is the second edition of Strategic Writing for UX. So I am going to stop sharing my screen and see all your lovely faces up here. So I'm going to gallery mode. How did I do what?
Oh, I was muted. How did you do both of those things at the same time?
It was not wise, but I had already signed the contract to do the second edition book. Um, and I said, I think it's really time, it's past time for this other book to exist.
Yes.
And so I had been talking to O'Reilly and to another publisher, and the time was right. So we did both.
You just jammed.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. Really
yeah.
impressive. Thank you for doing that. I'm yeah, this book has been a long time coming and I'm very excited to see it.
I'm excited too. And actually, Bridget already asked, what is product market fit? Product
Yes.
market fit um, is about me pulling up my book right now so that I can get this right. Um, you may know that my brain is a little bit fried right now uh, because we've been editing skills, and many of you are longtime content people, so you probably know how like writing is one kind of problem, right? Like get it out of the head and onto the paper or screen. But that other side of the problem of like make it usable for other people, um, boy, that's hard work. Okay, product market fit is especially useful for startups or companies bringing brand new products or experiences to market. And it's when uh, the organization finds a customer segment that not only uses it and values it and loves it, but will also pay for it
Yeah.
so that they found the right product in the right market. And by market, they really do mean like people who will pay for it so that it will fit and work. And then it can be grown from there. So this is something popularized by the um, Andreessen Horowitz group, um, famous Silicon Valley VCs, to say like, okay, startups, get that right first. Get one customer group that will pay for the thing, and then you can build from there. So achieving that is a big goal in early stage experiences. Let's see.
Yeah. I think
We do have
There's,
another question there. Ariel, if you want to.
yeah.
Oh,
So, it's really good timing to see the skills mapped to the impact, right? With year end. Um, and the question is like, how does this impact with the rise of LLMs?
Yeah, so LLMs can be useful for some things. Um, there's a metaphor that Nazar Bina used in a podcast with Larry Swanson.
Yeah.
I need to pick up this cat or he's gonna snag everything. Come here. Oh no, now it's runaway time. Great. Um, and Nazar Bina said, think of it as 10,000 interns. You have 10,000 interns, you can ask them to do anything you want. It will be at the quality of 10,000 interns doing a thing. So it will be extremely dependent on the instructions you give it, how well it was prepared and trained ahead of time to do that thing.
Yes.
You need to already know how to evaluate the output. So you need to be an expert in it already to be able to take their output and be like, yes, that is good or bad. And there's the added complication of these LLMs have been, especially the general purpose ones, have been trained. Oh, cat came back.
Cats.
Have been trained to be kind of sycophantic. Like they want to keep you engaged and keep you working because that aligns with the business model of the companies creating these experiences. So you might use use an LLM and say, "Hey, I did an I need to do. I'm gonna just keep going with content audits, Paula. So tell me if I explode your brain. Um, hey, LLM, go to this website and build me a spreadsheet of all of the pages there.
Yeah.
And it will go and be like, oh, I think that audit spreadsheets have 200 entries in it, so I'm going to put 200 entries in it. Are those entries aligned with what's actually in that website? You have to check because you also have interns that have motivations that you can't trust. So could you instead ask the interns to write you a Python script that will go crawl the website and construct the spreadsheet in exactly the right way? Absolutely. And then you also need to know some Python so that you can check it. So I don't know if I'm answering the question at all. AI is part of the toolkit and can be used in some of these. It also shows up in some of our pitfalls and risks. Like if you are presenting UX work, I was just working on this one earlier today. If you're presenting UX work, you could go to AI and be like, hey, make me a super shiny presentation. Make it look great. Make it about this topic. Maybe I'll even tell you a lot about that topic. But if you don't know the underlying story, you're going to be crap at giving that presentation. And
yeah.
it doesn't know actually how to hang a story together. It just knows what it should generally look like.
I'll just jump in briefly because we do have some other questions, but just
Yeah.
on that topic of audit. So because I'm both teaching a class on auditing right now and doing auditing for a client, I've actually done some experiments with basically, kind of the most common sort of, especially for my students, like had them try like the freely available tools, right? So
Mhm.
ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. So they're not working with anything that's been customized or any custom LLMs or anything. And it was interesting because my own experience of doing it was you get stuff back that's generally pretty well written and it seems very authoritative. And you go, oh my gosh, well, it really pulled out all this, this, and this. And it was kind of doing like some competitive auditing and here's how this other company that's also, because I had said, look at these 3 other companies, see how they do their product pages or whatever, right? You get it back and go, well, and it's very tempting. And I think probably relatively going to be more common that someone just says, well, there you go, we've got this analysis. When you start to look at it, you go, well, wait a minute, that actually isn't correct. And so I actually had a younger, younger is really the important word here, but a coworker analyze, sort of look at. So we did the same thing with Claude and ChatGPT and compared the results and said which one is more accurate. And even of the 2 that were more accurate, it was about 30% accurate. So at that point, the time that we had spent like evaluating that is exactly what you're saying, right? First of all, you have to know, you have to be experienced enough and knowledgeable enough in the subject matter to look at that and go, well, that doesn't look right to me. Something looks off to me. And then the time you spend sort of evaluating that, I could have just done it myself. I mean, it really, you do have to be very careful with how you use it. So yeah. It's interesting, and I think there's lots of possibility there, but definitely I think there's still no substitute for that human in the loop, and that human in the loop having the skills as you're talking about, to be able to, first of all, to tell it what to do to get reasonable results to begin with, and then to evaluate those results. So anyway, my own experience with that. And then my students actually had a similar experience. I mean, I asked them, I told them, they're doing audits, they're doing inventories. They could use it, but only if they told me how and what they found from it. And it was interesting because they also said they ended up not accepting much of what they got back, or having to really revise and review it. So so it was good. It was a good exercise.
Actually, I would love to do a little poll with this group, and by poll I mean very informally, like use the raise hand feature, use an emoji or something. How many of you have worked in code of any kind, like from HTML or CSS or XML or Python or Fortran or any of that? Yep, I'm seeing some. Yeah. I had, so one of the technical reviewers of the book, that one of the skills is work in code, because it is a thing that we do. And the technical reviewer, who themselves is a software development professional of many, many years, said that was the worst idea he had ever heard. And UXers should never, ever be working in code. And, couldn't even believe that we'd be giving this advice. And I'm going, oh my goodness, that am I just way off base? Like, I've been doing this, I've been working in code for more than 30 years. Am I wrong? So good. Thank you for all the thumbs up and everything. I feel very validated about it.
Well, kind of on that more technical side of things, and sorry, Ariel, I'll just read this one.
Go ahead.
Kate was asking, have you or has anyone in your research worked on data models? So things like API names, labels, descriptions that provide context for LLMs and AI agents. And by the way, Kate Thomas will come back to your question. So, but since this is kind of in the same realm.
So yeah, and in fact, one of the skills is prepare LLMs. How does it? I have a cheat sheet here. Prepare LLMs for integration is one of our skills. And it is the subject of the new chapter in the strategic writing for UX book, in the net new chapter. There was changes throughout, but it's all about how do you, as a content designer, like what is the content design work to be done to create working LLMs in a particular domain. Part of that is data modeling. I don't think I call it that in the book because I've tried to keep it at a more um, approachable level for people who might not have been exposed to uh, that technical side of things or semantic work before. So keeping it at the level of like, you might need a spreadsheet of thousands of examples, and you might need to have experts go through those and rate them. And you are not the expert in that domain, probably. But you will need to set them up for success. And then you will need to take their rankings of things and be able to analyze it and go and do that analytical work to say, what are the language similarities here and differences? And how do I describe those to the LLM and uh, to create validation criteria so that we can say, is this working? Is this working as well as not using it? And
Yes,
then, is it working better than not using it? Those are,
absolutely.
yeah, those are really critical to do. And there's no way to do that without getting super deep in the content because it turns out like, is this content the right content is a huge question that non-content people are like, oh, you have an answer to this, right? Because we're working on LLMs now. And I'm like, oh, well, that would be context dependent, my dear.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So hopefully I answered that question. I don't know, there's an awful lot there.
There is. That is absolutely true. Absolutely true. No, I think you did. Um, one of the questions that came in that was it is in looking at these skills, if you were to rate or prioritize them from most important, um, what would that look like?
Hmm. That is the first thing I think of is, oh crap, I should have anticipated that kind of question. I have no answer for it. But I do have a little bit of an answer. One of the things we did uh, before this last round of edits, um, sort of between rounds of edits, was like, okay, I think we've got our list of individual impact statements that tie skills to specific impacts. I
Yeah.
think we've got that pretty much set. Might make a few changes, but we think it's set. And then we renumbered all of the impacts
Mm,
so that the impact like F1 is the top financial impact, which is reduce support costs. And that's the one that has the most UX skills attached to it. So U1, improve user outcomes. I think that's it. The other side of my skills cheat sheet is my attitudes and impact cheat sheet. Because I do a lot of writing and editing in coffee shops. Um, yeah, U1 is improve user outcomes. That's the most frequent one. P1 is increase quality. That's the most frequent one. But if I were to do the opposite and say, which are the most impactful um, uh, skills? Which are the skills that make the most impacts? Well, the short list there is, or the easy answer is the universal skills, the ones that if you use, say, data visualization to visualize data about sales costs, then it gives you a tool to reduce sales costs. If you use data visualization to improve user outcomes, then it will help you improve user outcomes, probably, right? If all other things are equal and you have the conditions for success. But if I were to do it like and say, okay, take out the, I think there's 19 or 20 universals, then I could say, oh, which of these makes the most? But even then, it's so context dependent,
yes.
right? Like
You've
just
exactly
because like,
captured, yeah, what
yeah, just
Kate's
because this
follow-on comment.
makes a whole bunch of them, does it? Can you do that? Can you do that in your environment with your resources, your scope, your authority, the organization's need? Right? Like that's really what narrows it down.
Yeah.
And what we hope that we're making it easy for readers of the book to do.
Yeah.
Well, you anticipated Kate's follow on to her question where she says, I suppose it depends on context, because she works in a regulated industry. So in her
Oh yeah.
case, number one skill may be compliant, don't break the law.
Right.
Maybe
Yeah,
don't.
I had a product director once, and I'd worked with him on many things, and then he was at a new company, and I went and worked with him there, and he says, "Well, you know what your real job is to reduce liability." And I'm all like, "Hold up, this is many years ago. Hold up there, like, no, I'm here for the user, and I'm here for these things." He's like, "No, no, you're here to reduce liability. You're here so that if we get sued, we have a defense. You're here so that we don't get sued. You're here so that we don't get regulated into oblivion. Because the way we solve all of those problems is with words."
Always down to the words.
I think we could all just have a t-shirt printed that says the way that we solve all of these problems are with words.
Is with words.
It's like
Yes.
the motto of content strategists, right?
It is. I fix it with words.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, I'm going to jump in just to say, I mean, not that if anyone still has questions or wants to add a comment or whatever, please do, but I'm going to jump in to announce the winners of a copy of Strategic Writing for UX, second edition. And they are Kate with a C, sorry, Kate DeHeer. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Sorry, Kate with a K. And Colleen McManus.
All right.
Yay.
So our new
Those
Seattleite.
are lucky
So
winners.
we've got your addresses. We'll get the books out to you soon. So thanks to everyone who entered. And if there are other questions, anything else anyone would like to share or pick Tori's brain about? So much to a complete set now.
Complete set.
Great.
Oh, good.
It's just really interesting to me. I just wanted to say that it's super interesting that there are that so many of the skills that you pulled out really come down to that relationship piece. I just find that fascinating.
Yeah.
There are absolutely technical skills that we have, and there are absolutely things that drive the product design forward. But when it comes to the work and the business, that relationship piece seems to be really coming to the top.
Yeah, it is absolutely critical.
Yeah.
We've got actually quite a few skills that talk about different aspects of things you need to know, like consulting my list, understanding organizational perspectives. You need to know what your executives and your leaders care about. Because if you don't, well, you're just not going to make the impact you thought you were going to make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, awesome. I love that. I would just my a comment too is just that I love the premise of the book and the structure of it. I think it's a great idea, the sort of pairing the skills and the impacts and everything. I'm very interested to dig into it more. So it's a really clever way to present the information, I think. So kudos to you and your
Well, thank you.
co-writers.
I will say that the idea for using a wine pairing guide in industry came from a couple of agile coaches that are my friends. And they had said, what we really need is an wine pairing guide for agile methods and the business strategies you can do with them. And I'm like,
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
Nice.
So that all came from that.
Cool.
I owe them a lot.
You can take your ideas where you get them. That's great. All right. Well, if there are any other questions or comments, feel free to drop or put them in the chat. Otherwise, thank you again for everyone who joined tonight. Thank you, Tori. This was fantastic.
Thank you.
If had I been on camera, you would have heard me laughing out loud multiple times and seen me smiling.
Yes.
I love the content. This was a fantastic presentation, and yeah, so many LOLs. Everyone, please, as we've mentioned, keep an eye on all of our channels. Join us in December for our event with Bill Kurland, and hope to see you on Slack and LinkedIn and all those places. And we'll let everyone know when the video is posted and when we share the resources from tonight. So, thank
Thank
you.
you so much for
Fantastic. Thank
hosting
you,
me
everyone.
and taking care of
Lovely
all
to
of
have
this.
you again. Yeah. Great to have you back. All right. Good night,
Thank you.
everyone.
Have a
Good
good
Thank
night.
night,
you.
everyone.